All right, so what about our molecular or covalent compounds? So they have a completely different naming system, or well, not completely different, but pretty different naming system. And we're only going to look at compounds that are comprised of just two elements. And so the way that this goes is that there's a prefix, and then there's the first element, which is going to be your less electronegative element. However, we ignore this prefix if it's 1. And then it's the prefix again, this time for the second element. And then we end the ending of "-ide", right? And so your prefix here is just a number to represent how many of that atom there is. So here are our prefixes. If there's 1, it gets mono. If there's 2, it gets di. If there's 3, it gets tri. If it go 4, it's tetra. 5 is penta. 6 is hexa. 7 is hepta. 8 is octa. 9 is nona. And 10 is deca, right? So we attach those prefixes to identify how many there are. So for example, if we have N2O4, here's our first part, that's nitrogen. So this is dinitrogen. The N would not be capitalized. And then we have 4, so we go with tetroxide. Notice there is a little bit of a weird thing here. It's not tetraoxide, it's just tetroxide. And that's just an English language thing. We don't put an O and an A next to each other. We cross out the O for, my bad, an A and then an O. We'll cross out the A and just leave it as tetroxide, right? Instead of tetraoxide. Another example, CO2. Here we have our first element. Since it's the first one and there's only one of them, we drop the mono. We don't include mono here. So this is just carbon. And then there's 2 oxygens. So that's dioxide, carbon dioxide. Then over here, if we have N2O, here we have our first element. There's 2 of them. So again, this is dinitrogen. And then here, this is our second element. So this is just monoxide. Notice that we drop an O here as well. If there's 2 O's in a row, go ahead, just drop one of them, right? It's not monooxide, it's just monoxide. Obviously, this is a lot of work, right? Practice. There's really the only way around it is practice.